Tsvangire's kith and kin, hopeful to the last day. The only sound breaking the silence was from the occasional drizzle of rain. Whether or not it was because of the rainy weather, the village looked deserted, and it was only when we were a few hundred meters into the village that we met an old man. "We are looking for Tsvangire's homestead," we asked for directions. He looked at us anxiously, before asking us if we were not bearers of bad news about the veteran politician. "Kwakanaka, is everything all right?" he asked, openly adding that he, like many other villagers, was on the edge, fearing that their fellow villager and hero of the struggle for democracy in Zimbabwe could have passed on. We assured him that we were in the village to speak to people like him. Still not satisfied, he asked again, this time walking away, "Ko, e makambanswe kuti resi? Have you heard how he is feeling?" As we proceeded to Tsvangire's homestead, the tension engulfing the village was now visible. Neighbors, who we later learned belonged to the Tsvangire clan, could be seen peeping through windows to get a glimpse of the strangers who were going towards their icon's homestead. At the well-built homestead, which has 5 houses, all painted in a reddish color, perhaps to depict the MDCT party's signature colors, a middle-aged man, Erek Munhanga, came to meet us, and told us he was employed by Tsvangire to look after the homestead. He welcomed us and led us to the garage, where he offered us seats before disappearing for a minute, after which he emerged with a bowl full of mangoes, which he offered us. "You know, whenever President Tsvangire visits home, he sits right here and admires his homestead and crops," he said as we started the conversation. Until recently, when his situation deteriorated, he always came home regularly, and when he did, he made it a point to do general tasks like tending to his crops, just like any other villager. So passionate about Tsvangire was he, that he referred him as our president at every turn and point. "I am very hopeful that he will come back and do like he used to do whenever he visited home," he said. "We miss him, the entire village misses him, how he would visit Nyasviji River and visited every homestead to pay courtesy calls." As we discussed, a young woman appeared. The 19-year-old Gertrude, daughter to Tsvangire's younger brother, Collins, said she was sure her uncle would walk out of his hospital bed a healed man. "I pray for him every day whenever I get a chance. I believe that God will rescue him," she said, with teardrops flowing down her cheeks. Gertrude's mother joined us in the conversation, and added that she too believed that her husband's brother was going to make it. Several hundreds of meters away from the homestead, at Makanga Primary School, a teacher, who refused to be identified, said he was mortified by the news of Tsvangire's illness. "This man has served his community well, the school and the whole area have electricity, and this is all owed to him," he said. "He is so humble, and he always comes to the school to talk to the teachers about their problems. He is like one of us here in the village, and to think that he is a national icon, yet he is so humble, is touching to me. I only pray to God that he comes out of this illness," the teacher said. But it was not only the teachers and the adult relatives and fellow villagers who were concerned about Tsvangire's illness. A grade 6 pupil, Tawanda, told us he knew Tsvangire. "He is the father of this area. My father told me he has cancer. I have not seen in a long time. I hope he comes back, because when he does, there is always excitement in the village because he is popular in the newspapers, and I want to have a chance to get a picture with him," he said. Further away from the Humanikwe, at Boura Center, the nearest peri-urban area to Tsvangire's village, he was the talk of the town. "Amana Myakuru Wadu Anapora Hiru, guys, will our leader survive this?" one man said, in a beer hall conversation. "Hadazov, Zivave Zivamweri Isvi, we don't know. It is God's case, another replied, before taking a long sip of the opaque Chibyuka beer. For them and many others, it was an illness that had come at a time when Tsvangirai had better chances of winning the country's presidency. Why did he fall ill at this time when Canaan was around the corner? Another villager, Aman Makhovis, queried. As another day ended in Humanikwe, and the drizzle continued, the silence held on, and for some it would be a peaceful situation, but in the hearts of the villagers, there was tension, and some kind of a hope. A hope that they carried to the last day of Tsvangirai's life.